lights are on bright at this time to dance. Welcome to the show you'll live for. It is GINORMOUS. The date is July 27th, 2025, and I am coming for you today talking to you on episode 10 of GINORMOUS. And how appropriate, I'm going to give you a list and a top 10 list that was made by coaches, executives, and scouts of the National Football League, ranking the top 10 quarterbacks for the 2025 season and what they believe that we will see in terms of greatness from these players that they have listed. So I think there's a lot of controversy that's into it. There is a lot of controversy that has been talked about on many media platforms, especially with the placement of one particular quarterback. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So starting in at number 10, once again, I would just like to clarify, these are predictions from GMs, scouts, coaches, executives, that they believe, this is where they believe they will be coming into the 2025 season, not because of where they were or not previous listings, not listing them right this very second. This is a projection list. So, number 10, we are looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm not going to say that this is a controversial pick, but I would definitely say that this is going to be on the higher end and or slash the highest end we'll ever see Baker Mayfield. Nothing against him. I think he has been a great success story in Tampa Bay, has really made something out of himself and has found a home there. And definitely he is somebody with the correct environment. I am confident that you could, I don't want to say win, but you could make it to the Super Bowl with. I mean, Tampa Bay has a fantastic offense. They have a great offensive line. They just have a great team, staff, and environment overall. I'm not necessarily sure that they're Super Bowl bound or they ever will be without the guy like Tom Brady. But I do think that Baker Mayfield is somebody, if you were to put him in like an Andy Reid, a Kyle Shanahan, kind of the elite of the elite system, that he's somebody who could bring you to that promised land. Obviously, he has made it there before, or he has made it to close levels there before. Excuse me, let me correct myself. But I definitely do have the confidence that Baker Mayfield can play like a top 10 quarterback this upcoming season. The one thing that I have a little bit of hesitancy to say, okay, yes, absolutely, he will be there, is this is going to be his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. He lost Dave Canales 2 years ago, head coach of the Panthers, and then he lost Luke Cohen, my apologies, to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval, that guy. We all know who we're talking about there. So yeah, obviously this is going to be his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. So we're going to have to see if Baker Mayfield is able to adjust to that, if he's able to become somebody who can be adaptable to any and all situations. They drafted Emeka Egbuka, number 1 overall, or their first round pick this season, and obviously they have a lot of depth at that position. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position. So obviously he's going to be surrounded very well. But in my opinion, once again, it's all going to come down to if he's able to kind of transform himself to perform with a third different straight offensive coordinator. So that's what I think about that. It's very possible, but I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence. I don't disagree, but I also don't agree. So going to number 9, and what I alluded to earlier, he is on the thumbnail. He is on the screen, as you can see right now. The executives, coaches, and scouts all agreed that Jalen Hurts is going to be the 9th best quarterback in the NFL this season. Now, look, there's been so many controversies. There have been so many debates on this topic right now as to Jalen Hurts' placement on this list. And look, I'm not going to say that I disagree with the people who believe that Jalen Hurts is a quote-unquote product of his system, because we saw once the offensive coordinator left, Shane Steichen, to become the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, we did see how Jalen Hurts and that whole team in general, their performance, how it kind of fell off, how it kind of became a disaster, and they really bottomed out. And then when they got Kellen Moore, established offensive coordinator, they won the Super Bowl. And of course they had Saquon Barkley. Let's not leave that very important detail out. So I think that people are looking at it in the case of they're seeing Jalen Hurts, and obviously top 10, number 9 overall. That's not going to be a horrendous season. If you're a top 10 quarterback and have a top 10 season, obviously that's not bad, but they're not going to put respect on Jalen Hurts' name in regards to a top 5 spot. And look, I don't disagree because I do think what like the kind of proof is in the pudding. He loses the established OC. They kind of nosedive. He gets an established one, an elite running back, had one of the greatest running back seasons of all time. They won the Super Bowl, and he really was a good performer and a really key cog in that machine, and everything seemed to work right. Now, with the Eagles' new offensive coordinator this year, it remains to be seen as to what is going to happen, what version of Jalen Hurts we get. So I do understand how people kind of want to proceed with caution or err on the side of caution when they're ranking Jalen Hurts. However, I do believe he does deserve a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here, especially with one, maybe two people who are on this list, because you got to admit, when Jalen Hurts is put in that correct position, he's capable of winning the Super Bowl. And obviously, for any team that is serious, that is the ultimate goal. So if you're a quarterback and you're able to perform within a system that's able to win the Super Bowl when everything is right around you, in my opinion, you do deserve to be ranked a little bit higher than 9. I'm not going to say you have to be top 5, top 3, top 1. That's not what I'm saying. I completely understand that there's such thing as a quarterback being a little bit of a product of a system. I do understand that and I agree with it. But I do believe that once Jalen Hurts has proven it, he has earned the benefit of the doubt, because this, speaking of offensive coordinators, differences and changing, this is going to be his 6th year in the NFL, and this is going to be Jalen Hurts' 6th different offensive coordinator. So to put that into perspective, this is somebody who has had his ups and downs in the league, but this is somebody who's always been able to put in starting caliber work as a quarterback with 6 different systems, 6 different languages, and 6 different schemes. And I think, in my opinion, that's somebody who's deserving of a little bit higher on this list. And I'll try as we go on to figure out where I think I would put Jalen Hurts and where I think I would have him over that. Because, look, I haven't, to be honest with you, I have a list of this all figured out. I have a list of 1 through 10 here. That's the only reference point that I'm reading off of here, and that's really the only thought that I have, because I'm looking at this and I wanted to address a lot of the controversy that was going on, especially with this Jalen Hurts pick. So I completely understand why people are upset with Jalen Hurts ranking, but I also do think it is noteworthy to reach out and to kind of remember, hey, look, when things weren't all perfect for him, he also didn't have the best season all as possible as well. So look, you're still top 10, but we're going to put you on the lower end. So going to number 8, this is one that I disagree with, and this is one where I would have Jalen Hurts over number 8, Jared Goff. Now, this is kind of a common theme with these back-end top 10 quarterbacks so far. We're looking at it and we're seeing offensive coordinator changes, and that's exactly what happened with the Detroit Lions. Obviously, Ben Johnson takes the head coaching job for the Chicago Bears. Well deserved it. We'll see what happens in terms of results in Chicago. Obviously, we've heard so far with training camp, Caleb Williams has been struggling a little bit. It would not shock me at all to see that man do his pants and become a bust. It wouldn't shock me, but in my opinion, if there is somebody who can turn him around, it would be somebody with the offensive innovation of Ben Johnson. So let's see what happens. I'm going to reserve some judgment until we see some results. But anywho, going back to Jared Goff, this is somebody who, once again, just like Jalen Hurts, when he's in the right system, can thrive, can make it to the Super Bowl. He did it with the Rams under McVay. Can make it to the NFC Championship game. He just did it 2 seasons ago. My apologies. But I think that Jared Goff, with this new system, is going to be somebody who does struggle a little bit as well, and somebody who is going to find himself in a little bit of a tough situation. Now, look, all the pieces are there. They brought back largely the same team on offense as last year. They did get Isaac Tesla. They're expecting a big jump out of Jameson Williams this year. And, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the NFL, along with Sam Laporta, hopefully having a bounce-back year from that sophomore slump. But I think many and most would consider him still one of the top 10 tight ends in the NFL. So, look, a lot of things have changed. The offensive line is obviously going to have to go through some turmoil a little bit because they had some injuries, retirements, and releases. So, obviously, that's not going to be the same. And we all know without an offensive line, it doesn't matter how many weapons you have. If your offensive line cannot block for you, how is the quarterback going to get that ball to the weapons? And they have one of the best running games in the league as well. But you know what? I do think that the environment is no longer perfect for Jared Goff, and he is one of those players who needs that perfect environment. I don't think he has it this year, and to be honest with you, I don't think he's going to perform like a top 10 quarterback. I think the coaches and executives, they have this one wrong. I said this actually in fantasy football as well. Evade Jared Goff because I think he's going to have his fair share of struggles this year, and I'm not exactly looking forward to the future, and I'm not exactly too keen on what I think he is going to do this upcoming season. I'm not saying he's going to be horrible. I'm not saying he's going to be back end of the league, but I think you're going to see him kind of regress a little bit more to the mean of kind of being like that middling quarterback, sort of like a Kirk Cousins in his prime, always like that 14 to 17 range in terms of performance. That's what I think this season we are going to get out of Jared Goff, but I could be wrong. That's just the way I see it. So going to number 7, this one honestly, again to me is a little controversial as well. Now I know that this is a little bit of a projection, but Justin Herbert is somebody who is immensely talented, somebody who I think if you put him in the right system could be a Hall of Fame level quarterback, and I don't say that lightly. If you put him in an Andy Reid scheme, if you put him in a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay scheme, I think this is somebody, if he stays healthy, who could win multiple Super Bowls and perhaps even win an MVP. In terms of talent, that's what I think this man is capable of. And obviously, under Jim Harbaugh with the Los Angeles Chargers, with Greg Roman, he is in good hands. He's somebody who's going to have a very stable and good system around him. They just paid Rashawn Slater, made him the highest paid offensive tackle in NFL history. They have a great offensive line. They have good weapons that are surrounding him. So definitely he has a lot of things that are going in his favor. And again, this is a projection list, so he could very easily be somebody who lives up to this number 7 spot. But we haven't seen him put it all together yet. They're predicting that he will, but I do have some questions. Number 1 is health. Number 2, the Chargers have not exactly lived up to any sort of hype that they've had. I know that they've had Brandon Staley, they had that ultimate collapse against Jacksonville, but Justin Herbert was at the forefront of all that. And he's a young quarterback. He had to take his lumps and learn his mistakes, but we have yet to see him really flash winning football, and maybe Jim Harbaugh installs that into him and maybe he kind of teaches him how to be that way. But I just have to I'll believe it when I see it with Justin Herbert. Again, the talent is there. He's somebody who I absolutely believe could do it if given the right environment. Like I said, I think he is a Hall of Fame level talent in the league. But is he going to put it all together? That remains to be seen. And I don't have huge doubts, but I do have some doubts. Going into number 6, this is not one that I necessarily disagree with, but I do think this is a little bit high. I think that Matthew Stafford, who is our number 6, is ranked a little bit high on this list. I do think that Matthew Stafford is somebody obviously we have seen in the past can win the Super Bowl. They got rid of Cooper Kupp and they brought in Devontae Adams, so that's kind of, I wouldn't say a lateral move because I do think at this point Devontae Adams has a little bit more left in the tank than Cooper Kupp strictly due to injury reasons, but I do think that is going to be a great surrounding cast. They have Kyren Williams, they have a good offensive line that in my opinion is only going to get better. That young defense in Los Angeles, who I have highlighted in my GINORMOUS prospect series, I think that Rams defense is going to be young, exciting, and really noteworthy this season. But on the topic of Matthew Stafford, I do think that he lost a half a step. I would even say maybe a quarter step this past season. Obviously, he's not getting any younger. It remains to be seen in terms of results with Matthew Stafford this year with the new weapons that he has around him, if he's going to perform to the level that these scouts think that he is capable of. And look, he absolutely is capable of it. He's going to be on the Hall of Fame one day, and it's going to be something that he wears a gold jacket and he is celebrated amongst Rams fans and Lions fans alike. But this year specifically, I'm not so sure if number 6 in the league is what Matthew Stafford is going to perform up to. It remains to be seen. I think it's a little high. I would kind of have him, and to be honest with you, flip flop with Jalen Hurts. I think number 6 for this year with Jalen Hurts would be a little bit more appropriate and understandable and palatable. That way, you kind of remove a lot of the debate. And I don't think too many people would get worked up if they saw late 30s Matthew Stafford at number 9 in the league, because again, we're still talking top 10 here. We're not talking top 16, 15, top 20, top 32. We're talking top 10. And I don't think too many people would put that much of an argument up if at this point in his career, Matthew Stafford was considered the 9th best quarterback in the NFL. I don't know how you could put up a fight about that. I'm sure there is some sort of debate, but I don't know. To me personally, number 6 seems a little bit high for Matthew Stafford. But you know what? I'm going to reserve judgment because Sean McVay, in my opinion, is the best coach in the league. Yes, you heard me. Andy Reid exists, and I believe Sean McVay is the best coach in the league, and that man can work wonders. I will never bet against Sean McVay. So, hey, I can throw my hands up, and I can say I'm wrong if I see it. So, going into the top 5, this is where it gets a little bit juicy. Obviously, top 5, people really start to listen, pay attention, and open their eyes. We have Jaden Daniels at number 5, and I don't disagree. But again, kind of common theme here, I also don't completely agree with it. Because on Conte and Nick, when we were going over the second quarterback leaps or dips, we didn't say that Jaden Daniels was not capable of being that greatness of performing to the level that he did last year. But what Will and I were saying is it's going to be extremely difficult to duplicate and replicate, in our opinion. Obviously, they got better on the offensive line. They got Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connerly. They got Deebo Samuel. So they got a lot of weapons to surround Jaden Daniels and a lot of protection up front to make things better for him. Completely understandable. They reloaded a bit on the offensive side. We'll see what Marshawn Lattimore is capable of doing, kind of getting that full year in the defensive system for Washington. So the Washington team on paper, yes, does look better. But if we're being honest, it's all dependent on Jaden Daniels. And I'm not saying he's going to go through a sophomore slump. I don't believe that. I do believe that if not top 5, he's going to be top 10. I still think he is that talented. I think he's that good, and I think he has it. But if we're being realistic, how much more of a leap can we expect Jaden Daniels to take? The team made it to the NFC Championship game when they were picking number 2 overall the previous year. Jaden Daniels played out of his mind. It is some of the best football from a rookie, if not the best football from a rookie, I have ever seen. I just don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be able to replicate the same exact performance, if not better, than he did last season. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying he's not capable of it, because he absolutely is. We have seen what Jaden Daniels is capable of in one season. I just don't know if we're going to see that or better from him again. That's all I'm saying. I just don't know. I don't doubt it, but I also do kind of have some hesitancy to say, yes, he will be better. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion to say Jaden Daniels will have a little bit of a struggle that he didn't have last season, this season. I do not think that's unfair to say. At number 4, this is one that I agree with. We have Lamar Jackson. And the 3 quarterbacks that are listed ahead of Lamar Jackson, I have an issue with the order, but I do agree that 3 quarterbacks listed ahead of Lamar Jackson are better. And number 4 is a deserving spot. And the reason why I agree with number 4 for Lamar Jackson this upcoming season is because now he has a history and a big track record of not performing in the playoffs. Obviously, he was the finalist for the MVP, lost out to Josh Allen, who was the deserving MVP this past year. So we all know what he's capable of. He's a 2-time MVP, very easily could have been a 3-time MVP this season. But when the rubber hits the road, when the playoff time starts to come, Lamar Jackson obviously dwindles. And we're not talking about the 2025 regular season. This list that was constructed is for the 2025 season as a whole. And Lamar Jackson, during the playoff time, does not perform to the level that he is capable of performing to, and the team shrinks. The team does shrink. The defense doesn't get worse, the offense does, and it's not just the offense, it's Lamar Jackson specifically. He now has a track record of poor playoff performances, and that is because of Lamar Jackson. There's really no other way to put it. He is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. Lamar Jackson is. But the three quarterbacks ahead of him, even if it's slightly, for some cases, do have a better track record in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, that is how it is, and I think a lot of these people are now starting to see it, and they will believe it when they see it from Lamar Jackson in terms of postseason success, and that's really all it comes down to, in my opinion, and obviously in the opinions of other people as well. And I really don't know which other way to say it. I think that number 4 is the highest I would put Lamar Jackson, and it stinks to say because I want to see him win. I want to see him take that next step. I haven't seen it. I personally have not seen it. Number 3, this is where a lot of the controversy comes in from some people, but they have Joe Burrow. That was terrible. I will not edit that out, but that was terrible. Joe Burrow. Now, obviously, Joe Burrow, if I may come off a little bit hypocritical here, because the Bengals did not even make the playoffs last season, but I think it's conventional wisdom that will tell you that the reason they didn't make the playoffs last season was because of that atrocious defense in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow put up great numbers, all-time great numbers for a season. That offense has not really changed. They actually drafted a guard this year, so obviously that offensive line will be a little bit better. So the Cincinnati Bengals altogether as a whole should be on offense the same exact team, if not better. But the defense, that remains to be seen, the question marks. But in the case of Joe Burrow, yes, I have to agree, is better right now than Lamar Jackson. And the fact that Joe Burrow does not have an MVP to his name, does not have an MVP on his resume, I think that's going to change very soon. To me, that's kind of comparable to Chris Sale going so long in his career without winning a Cy Young, and it was only a matter of time. And the way I see it, it is only a matter of time until Joe Burrow wins an MVP award. He is that good. In my opinion, he has that playoff clutch gene that Lamar Jackson does not have. Obviously, we've seen it. He's been to a Super Bowl. It was a few years ago, but he's done it. He's done one of the toughest things in the world to do, go into Arrowhead and knock off Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game to make it to the big bowl game. I think, in my opinion, Joe Burrow, if that defense steps up, which they should a little bit, hopefully those draft picks hit. If they don't, they're in big trouble. But in my opinion, I think the Cincinnati Bengals will make the playoffs this year, and I think that Joe Burrow will perform as a top 3 quarterback yet again, because not only is he going to need to, but he's just that damn good. No pun intended. Sorry, Triple H. Happy birthday. Going to the number 2, this is where I have a little bit of an issue, and this is why I get a little bit frustrated, because I think the league favors a lot of people, even though this is a projection. I can't say that enough. There's Josh Allen. Now, look, I understand that Josh Allen had a tremendously great season last year, MVP winner this past year. You can never take that away from him now. I understand how you would maybe think there's a little bit of regression, but what I'm going to say, and I'm just going to go to it right now, number 1, Patrick Mahomes. I don't get how, if you're an executive, if you're a coach, if you're somebody who is looking at individual performances, how you can say Patrick Mahomes this season is going to be better than Josh Allen. I don't understand that. I don't know if the scouts are looking at, okay, they're going to more wide receiver based, okay, they're kind of going away from Travis Kelce. This is going to be a revamped offense as Patrick Mahomes is going to look better. I'm sorry, I could not disagree with you more. And to the people who put Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen in terms of talent, all I'm going to say is if it lasts longer than 4 hours, call a doctor. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't understand it because guess what? We all want to label Patrick Mahomes as the GOAT. We all want to say, oh, is Patrick Mahomes the GOAT? We so desperately want to put him in that conversation. First of all, he had 2 chances in the playoffs to beat Tom Brady, the man that they're comparing him to. he lost both times. Okay, so first of all, you cannot be better or greater than the man you couldn't beat. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. That's the quote of the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and I believe that deeply. And also, right, if we want to label Patrick Mahomes not only the GOAT, but we want to label him the number one talented quarterback in the league, then those two things don't coincide. How come we don't keep that same energy that we kept during the Brady era that we do in this era? Okay, when Tom Brady was in his prime, he was the greatest winner of all time, but you could list some quarterbacks that were more talented than him, and the people always did back then. Tom Brady, in terms of talent, was always in that top 5 conversation. People very rarely put him in top 1 because they knew people were more talented than him. And what do they do with Patrick Mahomes? Again, so desperately, people want Patrick Mahomes to be this generation's GOAT. They want to put him in that conversation so bad that they're willing to put somebody who they believe it may not be the greatest talent of all time in that conversation. They just want to be like, okay, Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. We're going to put him number one, undisputed. No, absolutely not. What have we seen? What have we seen these past 2 seasons to project that Patrick Mahomes is going to all of a sudden click out of it, snap out of it, and become the most talented quarterback in the league again? I don't understand. Again, I know it's projections, but I don't understand what we have seen from Patrick Mahomes with this evidence that we've seen these past couple of seasons that makes people believe that he's going to take that step up and kind of show those early flashes of Patrick Mahomes in his career. I don't understand. I don't get it. They got Jalen Rose, they got Josh Simmons, so they got a young offensive tackle and a good wide receiver who was also on my ginormous prospects list. So yes, that offense may look revamped. They may look a little bit better, and in turn, Patrick Mahomes may look a little bit better. But in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes last season played like a low-end top 10 quarterback in the league. That's how he played. Obviously, they made it to the Super Bowl. They made the winning plays that they needed to make, right? But isn't that kind of something similar to what a lot of people were saying about Tom Brady? Oh, he wasn't the flashiest, but he won. But nobody was ever putting Tom Brady at number one for most talented, were they? No, they weren't. So why are we doing it with Patrick Mahomes? That's my question. That's what I don't understand, and that's what leads me to believe that this type of list is fake. People just for whatever reason want to put Patrick Mahomes on this high pedestal. Again, he's great. He's an all-time great, and just like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He has 3 Super Bowls, which is a lot more than people on this list can say. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. All-time great. He's going to have a great career when it's all said and done. But once again, why are we now putting the greatest winner of this generation as a number one talented when the same thing was not said about Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes lost this year and he didn't play good last year? That's my question. That's what I don't understand, and I think it's BS if you ask me. And that's the reason why I do not take a lot of these lists seriously. I wanted to talk about it because I think it's an interesting subject and an interesting topic to go over. But I do not believe Patrick Mahomes' number one quarterback projection for 2025 season to be true whatsoever because of the reasons that I talked about. And I think it is the biggest state of hypocrisy that we have seen in a long time. And I think this is kind of the issue of the common day in the modern day football thinking and mindset. We just want to anoint people before they even do anything just because we want to say and put people in these categories. That's my opinion. That's all I have to say. So, once again, I would like to thank everybody for listening. 10 episodes of Ginormous in. I can't believe it. I'm so happy and I'm so proud of the work that we've all put in together because, yes, I'm doing this work, yes, but without the fans, without the interaction, none of this would be possible. So I would just like to say thank you once again. Everybody have a great rest of your day, great night, and have a great week. And this has been Ginormous.